Hi, this week we read about a rebellion that broke out among the Jewish people. What happened here? So KORACH comes and he says, Moshe, Aaron, why do you get to be the leaders? I'm a Levi too. I want to be a leader. It seems that maybe at first glance, maybe his argument is righteous. But the Parsha starts with the word vayikach, that he took. The Jewish people is one united people, like one being in so many ways. But he took himself out of that unity, and he gathered with him 250 followers. And here was the rebellion against the leaders of the Jewish people, the ones, Moshe and Aaron, who took us out of Egypt. You would think that they would have contracts for life after that, but no, that's not the case. And to make the question even greater, what is so wrong with this? We see a couple weeks ago what happened, that all the princes of the tribes brought these sacrifices, brought these donations to the tabernacle. And Aaron says, wait a minute, I didn't get to bring anything. I want to do something. Hashem, please give me a role, give me a part. And what does Hashem say to Aaron? He says, sure, not only are you going to bring a donation to the temple, but it's something else. I have a special job for you, and it's even better. You will be the one who lights the menorah, and that will be eternal for all generations. So we see here that Aaron complained about, wait, I want to do something too. And he was rewarded with the job of lighting the menorah. So what's going on? Why is KORACH's rebellion different? It's coming from a different place. It's not coming from a place of the greater good of the Jewish people. It's coming from a place of me. I want to do it. That not like Moshe and Aaron are so great and they're doing such a good job that I want to do a good job and I want to be my best self also. But he's like, no, it should be me instead of you. I want the influence, the power. It's coming from a place of him wanting to be Moshe and Aaron and to fulfill their role instead of fulfilling the best role for himself and what he can do. And that's the issue. And I think that's what's so practical for today's world, because so much value in the world is placed on who's the greatest, right? Which sports player is the MVP on the cover of the magazine, gets the best sneaker deal. But there's all these other players on the team that support him. And so too with anything. I just read a beautiful story in a book about a principal in a very hard school, and she was about to give up. And something happened and turned everything around. But who's the real hero in the story? It was her mother. When she went to her mother and said, I can't handle this anymore. I think I just need to quit. I'm not making any progress with it. And her mother said, you're here for a reason. This is where you're meant to be. You can make a difference. And she stuck it out, and she did. And it was really incredible what happened in a beautiful story. That's so too, there's supporting roles that are also really important. But today's society just views the person with the most influence, right? How many people want to grow up and just be influencers? But what do you want to influence about? What are you passionate about? It's coming from the wrong place. Really, it should come from a place of passion about a certain thing, and then you share that. Not just, I want to be an influencer and be famous. It's so different. And so that's the problem here, is that for KORACH, it was just about him, that he wanted to. It wasn't about like the community. He just wants that, he doesn't need the honor himself or the aliyah or to be the one davening, that it should just be a nice davening. No, it was about him. He wanted it to be about him. And he wasn't fulfilling his own mission, and he was trying to do other people's. And that's really what went wrong. Okay, so one other piece to this is, how do we know? How do we know who's righteous, who's not? So this was a time when we were traveling in the desert, and the man would fall from the sky. And depending on where the man fell, you could tell if someone was righteous or not. So if it fell like right at their doorstep, they didn't have to go far for it, then you knew that they were a big tzaddik. They were a very righteous person. Average people would have to go out maybe to like the sidewalk. And for those who weren't so great, they would have to work a little harder to collect their food for the day. So can't we just look at where the man was falling for Moshe and Aaron, or for anyone who was involved with this, and then see from that what was wrong and what wasn't? And the answer is that we couldn't. Why not? Because when this rebellion started, the man stopped falling. Why? Because it was an argument among the Jewish people. It was an inner fight. God saying, If my children are going to be fighting, no, I'm taking away your credit card rights. I'm not going to support you through this, through fighting with each other. Even last week when the spies came back with a terrible report of the land of Israel, the mound still fell. It was this week when there was the inner fighting that it stopped falling. So I think this is another message, and I think the two go together also. The importance of really doing anything for the sake of peace, not any like putting it as a big priority, right? Think about it. They say also that all our parnasa, all of our livelihood, like what's the best way to ensure a livelihood is to be at peace with people and to avoid conflicts. And the more we can avoid conflicts, and I think this aspect of KORACH and following his ego, that he wanted it to be about him, is oftentimes the greatest source of people becoming in conflict. Whereas if it's not about me and it's just about the greater good for the Jewish people, like it doesn't have to be me. I don't have to be the one making this Parsha video. I'm just filling in because it's my turn, and anyone could really do it. But for the sake of peace, we put our egos aside and we look for what's for the greater good. What does Hashem want us to do? And how do we keep peace among each other? So I think these are two really important messages for today, that we can put our ego aside and look at the world, what's best for the world, what's best for each other, and have a wonderful Shabbos.